what is it going to take for the Jets to not be where they are?
Jesus coming down and coaching.
That man in your shirt.
What type of headset you think Jesus would wear?
Okay, touche. Jesus got to come back. But what are other teams doing? Is there a culture shift that has to happen?
Oh,
with
yeah, 100%.
front office,
Yeah,
coaching staff,
yeah,
players,
yeah.
a complete
Fan
overhaul.
base.
The Jets organization has to start thinking differently about how it does its day-to-day operations. And when that changes and it becomes contagious, what do you think will eventually happen?
You'll win.
I want to know. So if you've been struggling your whole life, what has to change?
Mindset.
This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Ronnie Gatry, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
Here's what I'm gonna share with you guys, we can just talk about, because I thought about this while you guys were gone, because I had a moment about a week ago, and it's pertaining to when you make a decision to do something positive, and you have an expectation of how you think it's going to go, and let's say you're charting the course, but you're met with disappointment because your outcome doesn't match the effort that you're putting into this goal or this endeavor or whatever, right? And so you get met with a bit of disappointment, sometimes even a little discouragement if it continues to happen. And I'm speaking as it regards to like my fitness journey. And so I'm making strides, but I'm not where I wanted to be a month in, and I know it's just a month, so don't get I'm not tripping, but there are moments where I put in a lot of work only to see the scale not move an inch or go up at times, right? And so I just want to know, like, I'm sure you have dealt with that, whether it's whatever your goal is, professionally, wherever, where you're putting work in. I'm not talking about you being lazy or not. You're actually working towards a goal, but you're not hitting benchmarks that you had mentally set for yourself. Have you been there?
Oh, yeah. I'm there now.
Black?
All the time.
How have you dealt with that in the past?
Oh, in the past, I've dealt with it with a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and a lot of acting out. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah.
Acting out just with other people or just
sometimes with other people. If I could keep it in the context of my fitness journey, I would love to.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's just like, I know, especially this year, because this year has been unlike any type of health, fitness, whatever that I've ever like really been involved with. Shout out to John Owens for 1 second. But
definitely.
Yeah. But I know this year in working with John, the first 2 months, bro, it was just like I was doing everything he said to the T and nothing was happening. And one way I would act out is if I would get on that scale and the number is higher, I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do all this work and the number's still gonna go up, man, bring them Jesus. What's the use? And that's a form of me acting out.
Yeah, but that's a real emotion though.
Oh yeah.
You start questioning what's the point.
Right.
When it comes to that. Yeah. I think we all have been there. Like, man, I've been saying no for you know what I'm saying? And I'm still getting the results of what it would be like if I was saying yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least I feel good about myself
exactly.
throughout the process, right?
Yeah.
So no, I totally get that.
So my thing with that is, and I got to give John credit on this too, because one thing he's got me doing more of, and I said this several episodes ago, I just been writing, man.
Okay.
I've been writing, just like being honest with myself. Like, how do I feel when I weigh myself and it's not where I want the number to be?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get it out on there. Just, and I got journal entries for days. And then in those journal entries, I have to remind myself that we're not in this for like what can happen in the immediate. we're looking at long-term things. We got long-term vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that has helped me out tremendously, just getting those frustrations out on paper. And it helps me kind of like recalibrate in terms of fitness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like really building that challenge and really just like wanting to go toe-to-toe with this challenge.
Do you think what you're doing? Well, tell you what, I'm gonna hold my question and come back to you. But Black, what if you care to share is an example of something where you've had a similar experience?
Just looking for jobs
Oh.
and trying to figure, like, in my mind, I've done everything I needed to do to be qualified for a position, and you still don't get it. And that's been off and on for years. But what I found that helped me is, like, I can get to a place where I can get, like, I isolate myself and stay in my head too much and make things worse. But what helped me is that, like, I'm always talking to people, always communicating, and, like, figuring out that, like, okay, I'm going through this, but other people are going through this also, and they're going through other things. So, like, my problem don't seem as big anymore. Once I, like, talk to people, they share what they're going through, and we have these, like, connections. So I have to just force myself not to isolate myself when I get into those, like, mindsets and just communicate with people.
Yeah. You hear other voices other than your own. Like you can't trust your own voice in those moments, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to John Owens as well. I checked in with him. We've been checking in. We've been checking in weekly.
That's what's up.
And so I've been doing well. I hadn't lost any weight over the past 2 weeks. Now, mind you, I haven't gained either. And so, but it's something about when it's Friday, mind you, you look in the mirror and you don't like, you look like you're starting to like, it looks like things are moving, right? Like I know what it feels like to look in the mirror and don't really see progress, but it's not that. So when you get on the scale, I'm like, all right, scale, show me what I've been seeing in the mirror. And the scale is like,
I'm about
nothing.
to show you, right?
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
You haven't moved it. You haven't moved. And so, checking in with John, shout out to John again. John goes, are you okay with that? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, John don't know me, so I can't say, no, Ninja. You think I work like this? You think I do all of this just to break even?
Right.
You think that's the goal?
Right.
I told you I wanted to break even.
Yeah.
I need you to help me break even, right?
Right.
No, of course I don't. But of course he's challenging me to take that motivation, right? But I'll be lying to you guys because I think this happened to me about a year ago. I'm right at the point, and I'm speaking in pertains to health journey, but man, this can be starting a business. This could be climbing the corporate ladder like Black is doing. It could be going back to school. It can be whatever it is.
You could be enhancing our marriage.
Yeah, right.
Or relationships,
right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It could, yes, absolutely. Anything, like the principle is the same. But I was at this point a year ago, I hit this same wall that I'm at right now. I'm at the same weight that I was at when I started reverting back. And it seemed like I couldn't get over this particular hump. And so I'm determined, and it's bad when a major like Thanksgiving comes and you at this wall, right? You already know what's going to happen. But I'm determined because, I have a strong why. My wife is pregnant, and I think the fact that I'm breaking even, I'm going to talk about finding your wins in a moment, but the fact that I'm not gaining weight as she gains weight, because she's gaining she tripped out at the doctor's office, right? I was like, you're supposed to gain weight. It's okay if you gain weight, right? But, I have to keep talking to her about that because weight gain, that's been a thing for her for years. So I'm proud of the fact I'm not gaining weight like a lot of husbands or guys tend to do when their spouses are pregnant. But I'll be lying to you if I'm not at this same point where I was and I'm just not seeing me get past that, even though I'm trying to push through with everything I got.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dang, man, like, is this where I'm going? I was there in my head, like, is this where I'm going to be? And then I began to kind of like, I didn't write, but I began to kind of ponder. I like sports analogies. And I've heard, like, this is not a unique thing. I think Nick Saban talks about his process. I've heard other coaches talk about going 1-0, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that concept because for me, you said you start focusing on the bigger picture. I'm focused on the big picture, but I'm thinking of something in a different way. I'm thinking of my goal is to win each day, right? And so when I talk about winning each day, okay, what does it take for me to win today? Okay, I want to hit my macros for the day. I want to make sure I got my healthy protein, healthy carbs, healthy fats, fiber, my vitamins, minerals, water, all that good stuff, right? So if I'm doing that and I'm doing some type of physical activity, if I'm doing that, then I won that day. I'm not eating processed foods. I'm not eating foods that are high in sugar, high in sodium, whatnot. If I stay away from that, that's a win for me. And what I realize is that when I focus on winning that particular day and then the next day comes, I start that day 0-0. I won yesterday, but I'm zero. I haven't won anything today.
Right.
So what am I going to do to win today? Now, life happens, right? So the past 2 weeks, what I haven't told y'all is I've been invited to almost every birthday celebration, dinner.
I got one I was going to invite you to as well.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
It's at the Brazilian steakhouse.
It was going to be right after Black's.
Yes.
Yeah. At the chicken spot.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So I've been going out with friends, eating. I'm the friend with the salad. Like, oh, look at you being all good. Yeah. Yeah. I barely wanted to eat, but I'm hungry. I need to eat something. So I've been making decent decisions, but it's been challenging. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it hasn't been tough.
Right.
So you expecting be nice to me, Scale. I haven't been out here wilding. But what I realized is a new day comes. What am I going to do today? And then I thought about good teams. You're not a good team because you won a game. In fact, you think about NFL, NBA, teams are in last place in their division. Some of those teams have won games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They just haven't won enough. Right? And so the better teams win most of their games. So there'll come a day where I don't win. Right? Something happens. I was on the road, like going down to Auburn to cover a game. That's at least 4 hours of my day I'm on the road. Right? I came back really late at night. Didn't have time to couldn't pack nothing really. So I ate. So I had to eat to eat. Starving. But it wasn't what I wanted to eat. Okay, that's a loss. But if I am winning more days of hitting my target than I am, then that's going to push me into being a winner and a champion, just like teams.
Yeah.
And the more days I'm hitting my target, the more likely I am to see the results. When I think of teams that who won the Super Bowl last year, the Rams?
I have no idea.
The Rams won, I believe.
All I can tell you is who didn't win it.
The Rams beat the Bengals.
They beat the Bengals.
That's right. I remember that.
Jesus. Who won the NBA championship?
Oh, the Warriors.
Okay, he remember that for some reason.
Dub
right?
Nation, baby.
Oh, now you claiming?
No.
Yeah, you are. So if LeBron's my guy, you're part of Dub Nation. But my point is, you saw the Warriors lose some ugly games.
Yes.
But they're champions.
Right.
Because they won more.
They won when it mattered.
They won when it mattered. And so what I begin to realize is, okay, if I focus on winning each day, and yeah, I'm getting on the scale. I got to do that part. But my wins isn't measured per se in terms of what the scale told me that day. That day, I probably lifted weights, right? Usually it will tip in the other way if I'm living heavy because you know what I mean? Right. So I have to understand there's a bit of nuance around the scale, but what are you doing? How are you feeling? How do your clothes fit? Do you see inches coming off? You're winning. And so I also had to remind myself, hey, you didn't gain weight during a holiday week. That's a win. Like I had to look for where my wins are. And I think for me, I think we stop looking for the wins when we get frustrated. And we begin to focus on where we aren't, what's not going right. And there are wins all around us. We just choose to ignore it because it is one thing we're focused on. Put your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've been having this conversation with my wife recently. I just been asking her, hey, you thought about smiling a little bit more? Like for real.
Okay.
But I've been sharing my viewpoint of her life through my lens, right? And from what I see is a woman who's blessed to be self-employed, doing exceptionally well. I look at our living situation. I look at the vacation we just went on. I look at our kids. I look at our family dynamic. Yeah. And so
you wear vineyard vines? I mean,
right.
Life is great.
Life is great. What are we talking about here?
You have an amazing life, though.
Well, thank you. But yeah, if she has a long day and she comes home and she's tired, she has a right to be. She has a knack for focusing on one or two negative things that happened that day. So I've just been intentional about asking her, hey, can you just crack a smile? Lord's been good to you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But hearing you say that reminds me of her because it's just like, yeah, it's so easy to think about that one patient that may have had whatever issue and it could ruin the whole thing. But I think that mentality, when managed correctly, could actually be good. You think about your Kobe's, right? Kobe was just like, he was otherworldly when it came to dedication to sport. Mm-hmm. He wanted to out-practice everybody. He didn't really think about the shots he made as much as he thought about the ones he missed. That's what drove him to get back in the lab and work, right? So I think it's a
balance.
Yeah. Because on the other hand, if you go in there happy-go-lucky, I'm blessed to be here. I've got this great opportunity. Right. I've got a great life. Nothing's wrong. Right. When something bad does happen, it could wreck you.
Right. And I think that's a beautiful point because I think the issue is instead of allowing something to motivate us, it disappoints us or discourages us.
Right.
I think that's your fine line is something happens, an expectation isn't met, or you had a hope that wasn't realized. And instead of being like, okay, because this is what happens on Sundays for most college teams across the country, or Monday for a lot of NFL teams. What are they doing? Watching film,
yeah. Let's see what we got right. Let's see what we got wrong.
But they're mostly focused on what went wrong.
Like all the penalties you got against Texas, which is the most in the state. I'm sorry.
But
I'd healed.
No. But what I'm saying is that that's the point though, right? I'm looking at what didn't go right, but I'm not allowing it to affect how I feel about myself or about the goal I've set.
Right.
I'm looking at it as, okay, I went out to eat with some friends. Was that the best decision there? The next time, this isn't the last time I'm going to be invited out to dinner. So the next time that happens, and I know it's coming, do I eat before I go? Do I bring something? How do I better prepare myself? Isn't that what they do in film study?
Yeah.
How do we better prepare ourselves for this situation? And it's not, the purpose of watching film isn't to just bash your players. It's to find out how you can handle the situation better the next time, right?
Right.
And so mentally what I'm doing is when I hit those disappointing moments, I'm saying, okay, I could be down. And that's a normal feeling.
Sure.
That's okay that you're because that's natural. It just means you're not at a target that you expected to hit. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to just sink further into that feeling, or are we going to cut the game film on and evaluate areas that we can turn into wins the next time?
Right.
And so that's what I'm looking at in my life, and just in every area, professionally, in my marriage, fitness, because, the goal is to try to help us develop and be better. But disappointment is a part of that journey, right?
100%.
And so the mental toughness that it takes to withstand, I was listening to someone talk today, and they were saying that they use the analogy of, you remember Game Genie?
Oh,
Back in the day.
Sega. Yeah.
And how it used to basically make the games easy.
Cheat codes. Yeah.
But what you found out was the game became less fun because you already knew what was going to happen.
It depends on the game.
But you keep winning a certain way. What happens to that? Like, you're over the game.
You're quicker to discard it. Yeah.
Whereas if you didn't have the easy way, now you're more inclined to stick with that thing until you figure it out.
Right.
Isn't that how life is? Like, should we want it to be easy, Gat? It sounds like the right thing to say, right? Like, you don't want it to be easy, but
you appreciate it more if you have to work for it. Is
That's
that where
true.
you're going?
Isn't that true of everything?
Yeah. If everything's just handed to you, then what kind of life is that?
Dude, I remember kids in college, man. I couldn't stand these kids in college because they always would have a car. They would always have a car. Like, they could be driving drunk, wreck the car, flip the car, total the car. 2 weeks later, they got their parent. I'm like, are you serious? Didn't learn their lesson. Still wilding. Because you just know that I'm getting a car handed to me. But it's something about when you save up and you buy that first car, you treat it a little bit differently.
Oh, yeah.
So why do we want it to be so easy? It's not rhetorical. Why do we want it to be easy? And I'm preaching to myself, but like, why do we want it to be easy?
It's just, did you have something, Black?
I was just gonna say that sometimes people get tired of struggling.
Yeah, when your struggles have compounded, you do want a break. You do want maybe one thing to be a little easier.
Yeah, but not like your whole life.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's look at a bad team.
The Jets?
The Jaguars.
Yeah.
He said bad. Jets.
You're right.
Jaguars were at least competitive.
But what I'm saying is they've been struggling for how long?
Who, the Jets?
Yeah.
Let's see.
When was the team founded? No.
No.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna be fair. We got married in 09. In 07 and 08, we went to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, y'all was
Right.
rivals with New England.
Right.
Yeah.
We haven't. Well, we made one wild card appearance since then with Todd Bowles, but outside of that, in that time period, mediocrity at best.
What is it going to take for the Jets to not be where they are?
Jesus coming down and coaching.
That man in your shirt.
What type of headset you think Jesus would wear?
Ooh, I almost said, was it going to be made out of the stuff that they put on his? No.
I mean, I don't know. But what's it going to take for the Jets? Well, let's not use the Jets.
No. This is a perfect example.
I'm going to go to a different place for the Jets.
I already know you're okay.
And I
all
almost
right.
wore my Jets jersey today. That's so crazy. I came this close to wearing my Revis. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. No, go ahead. There's a time and a place for it.
But you already know the answer to this. What is it going to take for them? Okay. Touche. Jesus got to come back. But what are other teams doing? Is there a culture shift that has to happen?
Oh,
with the
yeah, 100%.
front office,
Yeah.
coaching staff,
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
a complete
Fan
overhaul.
base.
A complete overhaul.
Yeah.
You don't know what you can do about the fan base.
I do.
What?
Put a winner out there. We'll be back.
Okay. So that'll take care of itself. Then.
Right. But yeah.
Right. You take care of everything else.
A full-scale culture shift, yes.
So in other words, the Jets organization has to start thinking differently about how it does its day-to-day operations.
Oh, yeah.
And when that changes and it becomes contagious, what do you think will eventually happen?
You'll win. You will win.
Want to know. Right?
Right.
So if you've been struggling your whole life, what has to change?
Your mindset.
I know that sounds easy. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, now, we're not saying it's easy.
I'm not saying it's easy.
But
I just said some of the things we grow to appreciate and value is tough.
True. But Walker, you got me thinking just in my own personal, in my life, thinking of struggles I've had. Man, perspective is a lot of it. And I know for me, assessing that perspective and looking at the big picture, it does add some comfort to it, even if you're in a period of turmoil. I think about when I got laid off from, an employer I thought I was going to retire from. I'd been there since I was 15 years old. And I went into a state of depression. We talked about this before, but I had somebody, it was at the, they send you to the place, career care or whatever they call it.
Career fair?
Huh?
Fair?
No, not fair. They send you this.
Like a deployment office or something to get you.
No, it's a little more dignified than that.
Oh.
Dignified. but go on.
I went to this place for 3 months. It was part of them, canning me or whatever. But they help you get your next job, and you're with other people who've been laid off. You assess your skills, whatever.
The career halfway house?
Something like that. Yeah. But like I remember going there and meeting
I
a
was gonna
guy.
say rehab, but same thing.
It may be career rehab. But I remember meeting a guy there, and he kept saying like, man, life could be a lot worse. And this was like we'd meet once a week. And he would say this once every time, and it just made me want to peel his face off.
Because you was not there.
I was not there. I was like, you don't understand. I was supposed to retire from this company. Like, there's no hope for me outside of this.
Wow.
That's the mentality I had. Like, if they don't want me, no one else is gonna want me, right? But eventually, I took him at his word, and I was like, man, bro, my life ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Got a severance package. A long severance package.
Some people just get fired,
Some
bro.
people just, you're right. Got a long severance package. I got this career training thing that they've thrown in for 3 months that I can make the most of instead of being like a little sourpuss.
You can meditate on the golf course.
I could go play golf. Had a newborn son, right? We got a nice house. Like nobody's hurting. We're still eating. It doesn't look the way I want it to, but man, assess the whole perspective. Dude, things aren't that bad. But I think for me, using that as an example, once I started leaning into that and just like absorbing the perspective that I had and taking that in and being honest with that on how that that whole thing looked, dude, that changed the mindset.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm straight. All right, I'll go on an interview, not get it. Okay, their loss. I'm good though. Like nobody's hurting.
That's beautiful. Their loss.
Yeah.
That's tough. That can be tough to say.
Well, it wasn't always like that.
Fair.
But at a certain point to where I started to assess the perspective, my whole demeanor during interviews was different. I was much more comfortable, much more relaxed, much more willing to accept if this doesn't go the way that I want it to go, there's something better coming. Meanwhile, Severance still rolling in. Newborn son I get to spend time with.
Yeah. House
is great. Everything. I mean, can play golf whenever, seemingly, because my son was in daycare. What am I fussing about?
But if you focused on what you don't have, you will overlook all of that.
Yeah. But
all of that.
It changes your energy.
Right.
Because I feel like people could feel that resonating from me. I may not think so. I may sit down here and interview from you and be like,
get in your car and cry.
Yeah. I could be giving you this or think I'm giving you this.
Yeah.
But deep down, if I've got resentment and I'm harboring that, it's probably coming out a different way that I don't even realize.
That's true.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like I didn't even assess all that.
Yeah.
But when I did.
But you can tell a person who's bitter.
Yeah. You can tell when they're trying not to be bitter.
Yeah.
That was your boy.
Yeah. You can tell a bitter person, a person who you can just tell. You can just tell. And so, and they may not even be self-aware enough to know that they're bitter. Like they have to come to that epiphany. But yeah, you can read that on a bitter person all day long.
Jeez, dude. And even I think about my marriage, like, you know this because you spend a lot of time talking to me. There are periods of time in my marriage where I've been bitter. I've been really bitter about like small stuff. But like, again, the mindset.
Yeah.
When I just started changing that narrative and thinking, you know, my marriage isn't as bad as I wanted to be sometimes. Right. Like I got a good wife.
Yeah.
Is she perfect? No, but I'm not perfect.
Yeah, those are out of stock.
Yeah. And you know, can I share something speaking to the whole mindset thing? Like one of our struggles that we're dealing with now is our calendar. So when we instituted our calendar years ago, this was something my wife asked for because she wanted more organization. When you have kids, especially active kids, you got to have that calendar. I was reluctant. I wouldn't put everything in the calendar. It caused issues. I've since changed that. I've learned the importance of a calendar. Now I'm the one championing the calendar. And so my wife missed a detail on an event we went to this shortly before we left. She totally missed it. And so I was talking to her about it, just, you know, listening, letting her unpack. And she got it all out. And she said, okay, now you can fuss at me for not looking at the calendar. I'm like, no, I'm not going to fuss at you for looking at the calendar. I was like, I can't control that. It's like, you still my wife. I still love you. You know what was in the calendar. I know what was in there. What am I fuss for? Perspective. Ronnie 5 years ago would have fussed for at least 20 minutes about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But perspective is different. My mindset is different. Okay, my wife gets to be human. Right. Just like I expect to be treated as such, you know?
Right.
So.
No, I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Like having, again, that's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Black said something that stood out to me because it's tough to see the blessing in your life when you've seen a lot of struggle in your life. And that's where a lot of people have come from. Even if they are in a good space now, it still is work to reprogram your mind.
Right.
Right. And so I think it's a blessing to even have the opportunity to work on your mind. You know, there's some people can't work on their mind.
That's real.
There's some people who need medication to regulate themselves to do what you can just easily do.
Right.
If you choose to do it.
Right.
There are a lot of us who, and when you say perspective, like the word, like you just took the word of the day, it really is about perspective. There are people, Gad, I know don't even know that their life could be better. That's very disheartening. Like, you're okay with it. The fact that you know it ain't okay, that's a blessing because at least you're aware. That's a starting point.
Right.
I've seen people, you try to show them a better way, you try to help them out, and they will wrestle you to stay in the hog pen. They will wrestle you. No. But why are you complaining? Right? So to have the awareness, I think, is a blessing because you know there's something else better for you. And that's something that I think is very fundamental in the core, is just knowing, I talk about all the time, is just knowing who you are, your identity, your purpose. What are you here for? And usually that comes from a place of knowing that you're here for something greater.
Right.
And what you're doing ain't it. Right. And so I think that's a beautiful point about perspective, man. I really do.
Well, you got me thinking, like, how do you get there? Because I understand, and I'll be honest, like, my situation is probably not the average situation.
How did you get there?
Oh.
Talk about how did you get there? Because you got there, right? You got better perspective today.
Yeah. It was a lot of beating my head up against the wall, though.
But what did you learn from it?
From beating my head up against the wall?
Well, getting to where
That he has a hard head.
now that was a good one.
That was a
Put
good
him
one.
on the board.
He's talking about he hadn't refreshed yet. He's good.
Yeah, he
been over there cooking.
He's still on point. Yeah,
Right.
he been over there shooting in the gym while he was in Africa.
Nah. If I had to say, like, for me, this is so cliche, but it was just really at a point to where, like, no, man, I'm tired of feeling like this.
Okay.
I'm tired of me being affiliated with this company being what I think defines me. I'm tired of that. And that's not something that happened, like that thought process entered my head and I still rejected it. But it wasn't something that I acted on like that when I got it.
It was a seed.
It was a seed.
Yeah.
And when I started to think about it, it was still like, well, no, I'm still trash and no one's going to hire me because they let me go. And if they let me go, I'm not worthy to be hired anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I guess with that seed, I guess eventually you just start to believe it.
Yeah.
Just like I believed a lot of things about me that weren't true. You start believing, well, no, okay, well, I gotta call out the blue from company B. I didn't even apply for anything. I don't know how they got my stuff. Okay, they see something in me, and then it follows up with that thought, like, yes, Ronnie, you do have value. You do have a purpose. You are supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like a slowly gradual thing, and I had to watch a lot of things crumble too. Like, let me be real, I had to watch a lot of things crumble. Like my marriage was a big thing. Like, my wife didn't like seeing me like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't the best person to be around either.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Most people will be down in the dumps.
Yeah. And I can understand it because, like, if the tables were turned, yeah, I'd be frustrated with that too.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm living in the same house with you and I'm looking around and we living pretty good, you know?
Right.
Did you reach a point where you had to, like, stop feeding that negative energy?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it took, you know, the big turning point for me was really looking at my son, who was he was less than a year old at the time. And I was about to let me give y'all the perspective here. I had no job. And I was still taking my son to daycare. Like, really think about that. And it was one morning, I'll never forget this. I was driving him to daycare. I was talking to a homeboy, and I was just giving him all this negative stuff and telling him, like, about what I was going to do today. Like, I ain't got nothing going on, man. I ain't got no interviews. I ain't got no applications. I'm about to go drop my boy off. And it hit me. I'm like, why am I dropping him off? Why am I dropping my boy off? For what? So I can sit there and mope at the house by myself? So I remember I was like, no, I'm not dropping him off. I'm gonna spend this time with him. And bro, we walked around our neighborhood. My son was small at the time. Okay, so I don't know if he really absorbed any of that. We walked around the neighborhood. You know, I took him to get ice cream. I just spent a lot of intentional time with him because one of the thoughts I had at the time was, I know when we have kids, time goes by fast. And this could be a blessing that I don't see yet, that I get this time with him at a young age to have an impact on him.
Yeah.
And so that was a great day. And even at a young age, I could tell he was cool with that. And so the next day I kept him at the crib. Then the next day I kept him at the crib. And the next thing I know, the phone starts ringing. Hey, Ronnie, we saw your resume on whatever. Would you like to come in and talk to us? Like, I hadn't applied for nothing. Like, what y'all talking about? I'm over here with my kid, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just like, I know the Lord was sending me that message. And he probably been sending it very clear. But I was just so hard-headed. But in me changing my perspective and saying, you know what? I could go sit at this computer and apply for jobs incessantly and keep getting rejected. Or I can invest more time into something more valuable with this young boy. And then whatever happens after that just happens.
So what I gather from what you're getting at is that you found ways to be productive even in unemployment.
Yes.
Mentally, you look for opportunities to be productive and win your day.
Yeah.
That's a win being with your son.
But think about the domino effect though, Walker.
Yeah.
This young man was feeding me something, a level of satisfaction and joy that I didn't even know I didn't think I deserved at the time. But what transpired is the important part. I'm with him, even as small as he was. We're having a good time. We're rolling around doing stuff. Like I'm getting to know my son. My mood is better.
Yeah.
So my wife comes home. She kind of like, who's this dude? Why is he smiling? Why is he happy? Why is he the man he used to be? Where's this depressed husband that I had? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was all through that. Perspective changed.
We had one of our first guests on our podcast, Mr. Ryan Solomon.
Yeah.
I'll never forget what he said on the episode we did with him that you won't be able to find, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't think we put it out. Did we put that out?
I think it should be out there.
It
Did we pull it?
I don't know.
Okay, well.
It may be out there, but it's in the archives.
You got to scroll on this one.
He talked about thinking about what you're thinking about. Remember when he said that?
I do.
You have to monitor your thoughts in everything. And you have to ask yourself, the thing that I'm thinking about, is that what I ultimately want? What is it that I do want? And that's what you have to feed your mind with. Businesses understand that all the time with the commercials. They just keep like, I'm on Hulu and I'm like, do I have to see this commercial again?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But they understand that's how marketing works. And when you least think it's there, it comes up in you because it's been beat into your mind by someone trying to get you to buy or use their product, service, or whatever. Why can't we do that to our own minds and get our own outcomes? Why can't we beat into our minds the things we really want out of life, the outcomes we really want, instead of beating into our minds the thing we do not want at all? We'll harp on that.
Right.
Not knowing that we're training ourselves to prepare to receive that.
It's easier to dwell on the negative.
Yeah.
I don't know
Absolutely.
why that is.
Well, you're giving
There's a
into your
comfort there.
emotions. You're giving into your emotions. And that's giving into your emotions, whether you're happy, sad, whatever, is the easiest thing. It takes a very disciplined person to say, I understand how I feel, but that's not the outcome I want. Right?
Right.
I'm not saying deny how you feel.
Hey, I'm still on that journey.
I'm sad. I'm disappointed. But what I'm not about to do is go there.
Right. That's real.
I can still win my day, despite how I feel. Right? That's a very intentional decision. You don't slip up and not go with your emotions.
Right.
You have to consciously decide to lay your emotions aside and do what you got to do. And I think that's where I have come to recently, just in my health journey. So what? The scale said what it said. You could gain 3 pounds. What are you going to do about your macros and your exercise? Because I feel amazing. That's why you went to the scale all excited. You feel good. That's a win.
That's one of the biggest things. Yeah.
Right. So I know I don't even think about the scale when I've been eating terrible because I don't feel good. Why confirm what I'm already feeling?
Right.
Right. You went to the scale because you're feeling better. Your body's responding. That's a win. Don't let the scale let you forget about how you were feeling before you got on it.
100%.
Right?
Right.
And so for me, it's the mental thing. It's just a mental game that you have to play with yourself. Competitors do it all the time. The Mamba did it.
Yeah.
All the way to greatness.
Right.
So it's possible, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Any other thoughts, man?
No, man. I like where you came at with that.
Okay.
But I mean,
Bro, this is my message for me.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like you. I'm constantly having to deal with this on my journey.
Sure.
You know, so I think and again, like you said, we all deal with it in some form or fashion. We're not where we're doing well, but we know where we want to be. We've set a target goal, and it can just be like, why can I not get there?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you look at me, you're like, dude, if you don't go somewhere and sit down, but I know what I've set for myself.
Right.
And so that's the thing.
And community's another thing.
Yes.
You know, like we're having this dialogue. I mean, we're helping each other.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're helping someone that's listening or watching. But, you know, when I think about community and I think about John Owens in particular.
Oh, for sure.
Like even when I took that leap and said, you know what, I'm gonna go lock in with John. I'm gonna go work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting back in my mind, I was like, this is not gonna work. This is gonna be like all the other stuff I've tried and failed before. You know, that I met with him, I was like, this dude is crazy. He's not from this planet. He's telling me this weight we're gonna get at. Dumb. You know? But having him there,
Yeah.
and having him available to challenge those thoughts, to be there in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
And this sounds like a plug for him, but this is what we went through, and this is for me at least what makes him stand out from all the other stuff I've tried, because I've tried a lot in terms of like trying to get my health and my fitness and my weight in order. But his approach is so different. He provides that community, safe space to get frustrated. Like, I got to commend you. When John asked me that question the first time, like, I thought he and I were gonna fight because I couldn't hold.
So you understood?
I felt you on that. I couldn't hold my emotions when he asked me that. I let him have it.
I held mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to commend you on that. I couldn't hold mine because I was just like you.
Yeah.
And I was coming off a period to where I was dropping like a pound every week. And then I went through a month to where
Hit a wall.
Yeah.
You hit a little wall.
Nothing moved. Like
yeah.
I'm talking about a legit 4 weeks.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But so you're naturally frustrated with that. Then he hits you with that question. You're like, dude, where are we gonna meet to fight this out?
Facts.
Yeah,
It's
but
facts.
but there's value in that, and we're talking about it from John from a weight loss health perspective. But I'm thinking of the impact that's greater when we got folks dealing with other life issues.
Facts.
When they're trying to when they know they want to get somewhere, but they've got adversity standing in the way. Like, that community is so important.
What Black was talking about, not to isolate.
Yeah.
When you're not where you want, you have a community to turn to,
And
that can pick you up.
That's one thing I want for us, and I'm gonna be selfish and say Black men. That's one thing, and you and I talked about some stuff pre-pod that hopefully will change that.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
that's what I want for us, man. And as I've gotten older, yeah, it's gotten easier to be like, hey, man, look, I got my tribe, like I do. I love my tribe, but as I've aged, I've been like, okay, look, this is where I fell short, y'all. Your boy's struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's so much
Yeah.
that comes from that.
There's safety
Yeah.
and a protection in that you don't have to suffer in silence.
Right.
You can run to people and be like, oh, dude, man, I did that the other day. You come on with us. We got you. We got
Right.
you. We got you.
There's power in that, man.
Sure.
So
I want that for us. I don't want to just come in here and pod and we go home and then our homeboys or whoever listen to this listen and enjoy it in their own silo.
Right.
Like I want us to be able to have a community of like-minded men who are about developing and becoming better versions, bro.
absolutely, everybody wins, more better.
And we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Good talk, bro. Good talk. Anything else you got?
Viva Italia.
Italy on your mind? Did you get any merch?
I didn't, man. We
Didn't you?
No,
you
dude.
usually very merch minded.
Yeah, I saw some stuff, but like my focus was on like getting stuff for people. Like
Oh,
the trip was just, you know,
yeah.
like bro. But when I tell you, like, you don't know how thankful I was. Like for real, man. I gave so much thanks
Yeah.
just to have that opportunity because
I think you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Reconnect, especially, you believe in higher power, God, whatever. That's an opportunity to reconnect because you're visiting something you've never seen before, but you acknowledge he created.
yeah.
So that's a beautiful time to reconnect with him when you go on a trip for sure, especially visiting a place you've never been before.
Right. And
Yeah.
but it's that, and it's like even the small stuff.
Yeah.
Like pushing back on the runway. Like, Lord, thank you. You know, like this has just been this has been my mentality during the trip and since we've been back, and I'm just like, man, what am I fuss about?
You've been relaxed all night, so yeah, it worked.
Right.
Keep Your Point Podcast.